Welcome to the So Much More Than Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Patti Matthew. This is where we talk about real estate and love, health, wealth. Time to enjoy them. I'm here with Johnny Doyle. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Patty. How are you?
Good. Johnny D.
Yes.
We like to call you I coined you $1 Million Johnny.
Yeah. For now, yes.
Yeah. Life is good to be Johnny, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what are you working on that's exciting?
Wow. I got just picked up a listing. Probably going to have another listing coming soon. Have some people coming in from out of state that own a home here. So I'm pretty sure I'll get that one too.
Oh, really? I like the confidence.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that because I haven't done a ton of listings. I've been more of a buyer's agent, but I'm looking forward to the challenge. Take my listings.
Yeah, because this is your third year in real estate.
Coming up on my third year.
Yeah, so you're starting to hit your stride. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just hit the cap recently, so it means you're earning, your 100% plus, as we like to call it.
Yeah, that's
on the
nice. Commission.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really excited about that. So that it's like a major accomplishment. So
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So
Yeah.
I'm fired up about it.
Yeah, because when you got in, you started with Brianna, you had coaching, and real estate's a lot to get into. So now on the listing side of things, taking that will be a good challenge for you, and you'll be able to do more money in less time.
Right.
Leads, listings, leverage.
Yes. Love it. Yes.
Where's your business coming from?
Oh, wow. Mostly my sphere, like referrals. I'm from California, from Los Angeles, California. So I have a lot of people reaching out from California that maybe they own property here, or maybe they're interested in property, or they're going to retire soon. So that's mostly where my business has been coming from so far.
Yeah, and how long have you been in Vegas?
Well, I've been here like 20 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
So they know that you're here, you've seen the city grow.
Right.
And how many people you got in your database?
Ooh. Man, I think I might be a little over 500 maybe.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
It is that's $700,000 opportunity if you treat it right.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about Johnny before real estate. You're hitting out of the park. We'll get more into that, but you're from California. You've had a pretty celebrated life. You've seen some stuff, done some things.
Yes, I have. Yes. I used to work at a sports medicine clinic.
Yeah.
While I was in school, and we took care of a lot of athletes in LA, a lot of like USC, UCLA, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Rams, the Lakers. So that was like my springboard into sports medicine. I thought at one time I wanted to be a physical therapist, but I kind of got detoured, and I ended up finding another avenue to go down, and I became a strength and conditioning coach. And I got a job with a team, an NBA team. And at the time, and still is, I was one of 30 that had my job in the country. A lot of people don't know that it's only 30 teams. So I'm one of 30.
Makes sense.
Yes, I'm one of 30 people.
And you were sports medicine for the team?
Yeah, I was a strength and conditioning coach, so I worked under the sports medicine umbrella.
Got it.
So I did that for 13 seasons. They don't really call it years, but 13 seasons I did that. And somehow, some way, I don't know how this happened, but I got into a dump truck business. So I purchased a dump truck business, or I started a dump truck business in LA.
While you were still doing the strength and conditioning?
No, I was done. I'm done.
13 seasons.
Yeah, 13 seasons. That was pretty good. And, I was done. And I worked overseas for a while too. For a few years, I worked overseas, working with athletes overseas.
Okay.
So I would go do that from time to time. And then I started this dump truck business. And I had no clue what I was doing, but I figured
that's a big change.
Yeah, it's a huge change. One has nothing to do with the other. And I started this business. And I think, to be honest, that was my proudest moment, was starting that business versus being in the NBA.
Why is that?
Because it was mine. I started it.
Because you were an employee?
I was an employee,
okay.
Yes. And so I started that business on my own. I did all the research. I went around and talked to other dump truck owners and rode with them and got information. And so I was proudest of that moment more than anything.
Wow. And so this just came, like you said, you don't know how it just came organically. You just what turned you on to dump trucks?
My brother-in-law worked for Southern California Gas Company.
Okay.
He was like a high up with Southern California Gas Company. And he was on a job site one day, and I went to the job site, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's this guy do? What does this guy do? And
You were curious.
going back, I was asking questions, and I saw this dump truck sitting there, and I said, what is this guy doing? And he told me, and he said, this is how much I pay him an hour. So I knocked on the guy's door, and I started talking to him, and next thing you knew, I hop in the truck with him, and we take a ride, and we're talking, and like 2 months later, I bought a dump truck.
So you started with one truck.
Yeah, I started with one truck.
And what was that leap of faith like, going from being in a corporate environment, a very high corporate environment,
Yes.
13 seasons, to doing it on your own? It's exciting, but what?
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, very scary because it was all my money.
Now, was it were you married at the time? Did you have little ones at home? What
No,
was
no
happening
kids.
in your life?
I was single.
Okay.
Yeah, I was single at the time, and yeah, so it was a big leap of faith for me.
Yeah.
You know, to take all this money and invest it. And the scary part about it, Patty, is I bought this truck around December. I didn't work until like late January. So now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I made a mistake.
Oh, because you had a month like that startup time.
Yes.
And so that mindset.
Yes, I
sunk
think
in.
I invested all this money and I made a mistake, and so I'm panicking and I'm worried. And then one day I get a call, and I went out on the job, and I stuck on that job, and then I got on a bigger job, and before you knew it, I made my money back that I put into the business in like less than a few months.
Nice.
Bought another truck, then I make that money, and I buy another truck, and yeah.
So how many did you wind up with in
I
the
ended
end?
up with 4 at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, which was more than
And you kept
enough.
them busy all the time?
Kept them busy. I didn't have to drive. So I
You had a real business.
Yeah.
You
So I
didn't
just
have to be in
ran.
it.
Yeah, I just ran the business. So
Okay.
yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was a learning experience, and I think it made me not want to work for anyone else ever again.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking with somebody and we today, and it was, they're unemployable. They were in real estate. They dipped out, tried to work for somebody for a little bit, and realized quickly, I can't do that again.
Right.
That chapter is over.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened to the business?
So I did that for a while, even after I moved here, and then this is another twisted turn, but the market started to crash. It started not to do well, and I
2008 time?
Yeah, around, maybe a little before then, maybe, but the dump truck business wasn't doing as great as it was, and I decided I'm gonna get out now, because I wasn't making the money I was making, but I still made great money, and I sold everything, sold all my equipment, sold everything, sold my book of business, and I moved here to Las Vegas.
Okay.
Just like not on a whim. I just always wanted to leave LA.
Did you know anybody here?
I had a aunt that lived here.
Untethered, right?
Yeah, I had an aunt that lived here, but she lived in Henderson. So I didn't want to live in Henderson, so I moved in the Northwest, and Centennial was very new at that time when I moved here. And I just came on a limb. I didn't have anything going on, so I volunteered at a YMCA, a local YMCA. My favorite. Working with kids.
Okay.
Working with kids. I just thought it would be, a good way for me to get immersed in the community.
Nice.
And meet people, because
Nice.
I didn't have any friends here, so I knew no one other than my aunt.
So you had to get out there.
So I had to get out, so I
Interesting.
volunteered at the Y, and then they offered me a director's job.
Of course they did. And you took it?
I took the job, yeah. I took a job as a director at this YMCA at the sports and health, and to be honest, it was the best job I ever had.
How come?
It was rewarding. You get to impact some young people.
Yeah.
And, get to help, change their lives a little bit. And still to this day, that's been about 18 years ago. And I still keep in contact with a lot of those kids who are now grown.
You do, yeah.
Who are now grown and have families of their own. So that always warms my heart to see them. I get a little soft spot about those kids. So I love kids as long as they're not mine. So that always warms my heart to see those kids do well. So
Wonderful.
Yeah.
They live here in town?
They live
Or
here
just
in town.
all over the place?
I live
or-
here in town still. Yeah, a lot of kids. Some of them went away, but for the most part, they're here. So every now and then we'll get together for dinners.
Okay.
Get invited to weddings and
So you were in corporate,
yes,
came out, got the entrepreneurial bug,
yes,
went back by just naturally it happened organically,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And that's pretty powerful because those relationships, you're a relationship guy,
Yes, very much so.
right? So those kids and that impact and going over for dinners and weddings and
Right.
stuff like that.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. It was awesome. I tell people often that That's the best job I ever had.
And I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
And then when did you leave there?
Wow. I think I've worked there like 6 years on.
Okay.
And then I left there, and then I started another dump truck company.
Here in town?
Here in town.
Okay.
Yeah. So I bought a couple of trucks
Okay.
and hired a couple of drivers, and we started going. And once again, I had to start all over again. I had to meet people. I literally would get in my car and go to pits where they would pick up aggregate, and I would just stop people and ask them questions.
Really like boots on the ground.
Yes. Like, who do you use as your broker? Where do you get your business from? Some people were like, didn't want to tell me anything, and some people did. And I met some good people here in town, and I started out, like I said, I started with that one truck, and I was driving, and I got in with this company, and they put me through the ringer at first, tested me.
Like a hazing ritual or something?
Yeah, kind of like gave me bad jobs, like hard jobs, working late at night, things like that. And I'm okay with that because when I did an internship with the NBA, that was part of the deal. You have to do the things no one else wants to do. You got to pick up the towels.
Doesn't matter.
Help with the laundry.
Yep.
Clean whirlpools and things like that. So it was no big deal. I was used to that.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
So they put me through the ringer, and then I proved myself, and after that, my business took off.
And how long did that take?
It took about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it didn't take that long. So
you paid your dues, did your time, reestablished yourself?
Yes.
And how long did that business go?
Wow, I did that business for about another 8 years, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then real estate started knocking, or
Wow. So I've always had this infatuation with real estate. I was like, like my mother-in-law would come to town, and we would just go to open houses and just look.
Check you out.
Yes,
Okay,
we would just look at houses, and I love looking at houses, and I love like architecture, and I love like design. I love those things.
Okay.
So we would go to these open houses and everything, and just look at these places. But that's not what got me started. It was I got injured in my dump truck business, and I had to have back surgery. Mm-hmm. So once I had to have back surgery, my wife said, "You have to sell this business. You're done because you're working too much." Because I started working more than what I wanted to. That was hard to find people to work in this town, and it was during my busiest time was during COVID, and whether you believe that or not, the city was shut down, so more construction took place actually.
Oh, I believe it.
So my wife was like, you're done. She said, enough is enough. She said, you worked hard. She said, you don't need to do this any longer. Like that's it. So my wife doesn't say much or complain much or ask much of me, but when she makes a request like that, I have to listen.
Good man.
Yeah, I try.
She wants to have you around for the long haul.
Yeah, she wanted to have me around for the long haul. So I sold the business.
So was it a private business? Were you a union?
No, it was private. I was a contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next part of your life, the next journey.
Yes.
You lived many lives.
I had many lives, many good, fruitful lives. So, but my next journey, I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, I could retire, but I don't want to retire. I'm still young.
You got to be around people, Johnny.
Yeah,
you're a people person.
I need to be around people. So my wife suggested, you like real estate. Why don't you get into real estate? So a good friend of mine, he works for Keller Williams in Corona, California. Okay. I gave him a call, had a long conversation with him, and he explained to me why he loved real estate so much and what he gets out of it. What it's afforded him and his family. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow. And he said, I think that's what you should do. He said, I think this will be a good move for you. And so, crazy story is that I reached out to, I knew Jerome from a friend.
Jerome on the phone.
Yes. So I knew Jerome from a friend. So I reached out to Jerome, and actually I sent Jerome a referral. For a young lady, she purchased a home from him. So I think I texted him and I said, hey, thinking about going to real estate school. What real estate school should I go to? So he told me about the real estate school here at Keller Williams. And it was like right after my back surgery. So COVID was still kind of going on a little bit. So I reached out, and I just so happened to get in contact with Don Barlow. And we had a good conversation, and we was on the Zoom, and I was the only person on the Zoom. No one else came.
Oh, you had Dawn all to yourself.
Yes, I had her all to myself. So I drilled her and asked her all these questions, and she didn't convince me, but she like kind of gave me the push I needed, I think, to make the leap. Yes.
Yeah, Dawn has a way of doing that. She has an interesting background.
Yes, she does.
And
Yes.
So what have you learned about real estate that you didn't know getting into it?
Wow. You
already had the business out.
I had the business.
You knew how to go and hunt and
I had the business side.
Opportunity.
I think the biggest thing for me has been showing my value. You know, I think anyone that's in my sphere that's called me to do business, they know me as Johnny the person. They trust me.
Huge.
But I had to show my value. I had to show them that I was worthy of the business and worthy of making the money that I make.
Okay.
So I think that was the toughest part for me.
For wrapping your head around that, the beliefs around that.
Yes, exactly.
And so what did you do? How did you get there?
I had to learn my craft. I had to learn the business, and I had to be on top of it. So I would attend classes. I probably attended too many classes, but
you were in here a lot.
I was in here a lot, yes. But
smart.
But that's the kind of person I am. I have to be, I have to be a part of something like that so I can get a clear understanding. And I just immersed myself into that. And then that way, when I got in front of people, I was able to explain what I do and why I should be compensated for what I do. Mm-hmm. And I wanted them to be reassured that everything was going to be okay, that I was going to make sure that they got the best possible deal possible,
right?
That everything was going to work out great for them. And I just wanted them to feel confident and secure in what I was doing, even if I didn't know what I was doing.
I was going to ask, how long? Well, that's really the process. Part of it is experiential being in this business.
Exactly.
And my hat's off to you because you've been in the office from day one. You've shown up. You've been a key player. You've met established relationships with people who are doing business, who you're learning from, which is all kind of led up to this moment, right? It's definitely a process.
Right.
And then, so when did you start feeling that? When did that confidence in Johnny start to build?
Yesterday.
Oh, is it every day? Every day's a new day?
Every day is something different. Like I just came from a listing appointment, and I took something that I learned from the last listing and applied it to this one. And when I explained it, they understood it. Like they felt confident in what I said. So I was like, okay, I think I just spoke with my wife, and I told her, I said, I think I'm starting to get it. I think I'm starting to get a groove, and starting to get a, system and models in place. I'm getting close to where I'm right there. I'm like right there where I could do the same thing consistently and be able to present it in the right manner.
Right, when you meet with somebody instead of feeling so, I always talk about real estate when you get, or at least started in anything, but specifically real estate, you're kind of like a St. Bernard puppy.
Right.
You have these giant paws, you haven't grown into it yet. Everybody's telling you to do this, do that, and do this. What's the one thing that you did, looking, having perspective three years later, what's the one thing that you consistently did that if you were to give advice to younger Johnny 3 years ago, what would that be?
I asked a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, curious?
Yes.
Okay.
I reached out to the professionals here in our office that have done it, been there, done that, and not, I'm hung around them. I talked to the Nick Laymans and the John Slacks and the Dons and
got into their world.
Yeah, got into their world and went in, with them on listing appointments and buyer consults and I did those things because I wanted to see how everyone did it, how people did it. So I basically just took a nibble from this person and a little bit of this and sprinkled a little bit in the pot and stirred it up, and then I got what I'm trying to do right now, what I'm doing.
And that's so powerful because I often talk to people and I said, it's not for lack of resources. How resourceful are you?
Yes.
How you show up in your office is how you're going to show up in your business. Exactly. Nobody's going to come pull you out, and you're a great testament to that.
Oh, thank you.
Within the classes and affiliating with, I know you got a coach early on, right? You were coaching with Brianna, because Brianna's exceptional.
Brianna was instrumental. I mean, I still
one of the nicest people.
She's one of the nicest people by far, and
knowledgeable.
She just, what I learned from her was unbelievable. But funny story is, when I first started with Brianna, I had a listing appointment, and she goes, "Okay, well, good luck." And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're not coming with me? You know, like,
Right,
I'm on my own?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you got this. You're fine.
Yeah.
Call me when you're done if you had any questions. And yeah, you got it. You're fine. And she just shooed me on. And I went, and I was a nervous wreck. But, I from her coaching, I took that, and it turned out fine. It went well.
That's the hand-holding that so many people are seeking. They don't realize there's, you are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, it's time, you have everything you need, go learn, and then come back. And this, where your environment is your soft place to fall.
Exactly.
That's where you say, oh, I learned this, and what about this?
Yes.
So they can't teach you that in a textbook.
No.
If somebody went with you, that would never end.
That would have never ended.
And is that the life you really want?
No.
Yeah.
No. I wanted to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of independent guy.
Yeah, I can tell. So tell me, what are you doing for in real estate? All cylinders, things are happening, right?
Yes.
You're elevating your business, your mindset. I see nothing but more business and more opportunity for Johnny. What are you doing? Wellness, fitness. What does that look like outside of real estate? How are you taking care of yourself?
I'm starting to get into a groove now where I can start doing more of that. Now, I have a gym in my house. I haven't been using it as much as I should.
Okay, does it have laundry hanging off of it?
No, because it's upstairs. The laundry's downstairs. But yeah, I mean, I'm getting to the point now where I'm starting to do more things for myself.
Okay.
I'm one of those type of people that until I get it right, or until I'm close to achieving where I'm trying to reach, I put everything to the side, which is not good. But
you know that
means that I have to press myself to get it done.
Okay.
So I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Do you work better under pressure? Like some people wait, maybe some wait till the last minute.
Right.
However, some people work better when the deadline is closer.
Well, yeah, I'm not a procrastinator.
Okay.
I'm a planner.
Okay.
So I try to plan as best I can, and I try to get everything done. But what I mean by pressure, I mean as if, all right, today is the day we got to get this done today. Mm-hmm. And I'll just put that pressure on myself to try to get it done. Like, I want to get it done sooner than later.
I see.
I'd rather not.
We put that internal pressure on yourself.
Yes, I put that internal pressure on myself.
Okay. And what are you doing when you're not working? How is love and relationships?
Love is great.
How is all? Yeah.
Love is awesome.
Love is always the answer.
Yeah, love is always the answer. I got a wonderful wife. She's been so super duper supportive. She's still behind me. Good times, bad times. I think that's key when you're trying to do something like this. That your spouse and your mate, they need to stand behind you. They need to understand.
Always understand it. Some people, it's a critical.
And they need to understand what you're doing, and I've done that for her. She's done it for me, and I'm sure we'll do it again for each other. And we communicate, we talk about it, and when I'm having a bad day, I tell her. Mm-hmm. When I share my wins with her as well, I literally share my wins.
Yeah. Well, the saying is, when you're married, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. I found that out a while ago. And then, so I think that's key. I think it's important that you have somebody that's in your corner, mm-hmm. that stands behind you and believe in you. And she believes in me probably more than I believed in myself.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
How long have you been married?
Wow. 17 years. It'll be 18 coming in October.
Okay. And you found the right person.
Definitely found the right person. That you couldn't have asked for a better wife.
Yeah. Partner in life.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So you deserve it.
Yes, I do.
You're one of the nicest guys I know. You have a real also sense of community. Just seeing what I've seen, being here, you're always the first one to help, to pitch in, to kind of be part of the culture, which is so important in anything that you're doing.
Right. And Patty, that comes from my parents were like that.
Yeah.
They helped everybody. Sometimes they probably help people too much. To a fault, but they were always there. So that's how I grew up. That's what I saw.
Okay.
So that was
good examples.
Yeah, I had great examples of that. So and just follow suit.
Nice.
Yes.
And what are you doing in the financial aspect? I always like to, when I look at things, I look at love, health, wealth, and time to enjoy them. Right.
Right.
What are you doing with the money you're making? Not tell me specifically. Are you investing anything? Do you have anything that you're?
We invest
buying a couple of dump trucks, just to play with, or what?
I thought about buying some more dump trucks. I haven't talked to her about that yet.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
I haven't had that conversation.
Pull up in the driveway with the dump truck.
Yes, I don't know if that'll go over very well, but we own a couple of properties. And, we just maintain those things. I'm like, no, nothing against anyone, but I'll be 59 in a couple of weeks.
59 years young. It's like
Yeah.
30.
Yeah. It's a new 30, but I'm just, we just try to just enjoy our life. That's the thing that we're like more focused on right now, is enjoying life. I'm not saying we're the richest people in the world, but we have everything that we want.
But does wealth, let me ask you a more important question.
Yes.
What does wealth mean to you? Doesn't have to be financial. What does that mean to you when you think of
Oh, that's a great
wealth?
question.
Yeah.
When I think of wealth, I think of freedom, traveling.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, traveling, freedom, and then, to be able to do whatever you want to do. And I like to help people. That's the big thing for me, is I would love to help people financially if I can, or when I can, within reason.
Okay.
And those are like probably the three key things for me.
Pouring into people.
Yes.
Do you see yourself, do you volunteer at the Y or anywhere?
I don't
Do you ever go
volunteer at the
back there?
Y, but I do work with some kids, some groups.
Nice.
Try to help out with kids. So that's important to me. Because I think there's a lot of young men in this community that need, they need guidance. They need to see that there's people like them that are doing well. And so it's one group that I deal with is called Academics and Athletics Las Vegas. They've been here for a long time. The gentleman that runs the program, he and I met him when I moved here. We became very good friends. He's one of my better friends here in town. And I used to volunteer coach with him, but I couldn't do that anymore. That drove me crazy. The parents drove me crazy.
Yeah, they have a way of
The
getting in
parents.
there.
Yeah, but the kids I loved, but I thought it became a little bit too much because I started to pour more into it than I wanted to.
It's just your nature.
Yeah, it was just my nature. So, but I do from time to time do work with that group.
Nice.
Talking to the young men in that group. The whole Christmas events, I go do that. They do a breast cancer awareness. I go do that, pitching for that breakfast, and we host a big event every year.
Oh, nice.
So we host like 3 events a year. So I'm always a part of that.
And that fills your cup up. That makes you feel alive.
Yeah, it makes me feel alive. Yes.
Awesome. Does your wife participate too in some of that stuff?
Sometimes she will. My wife
was something you do
Yeah, my
together?
wife herself is a breast cancer survivor. So we're both cancer survivors, actually. So she's a breast cancer survivor. So she, I think that's part of the reason why I do that part of it, is because of her.
Honor her.
Yeah, to honor her. And I know what she's been through and where she's gone. And she's by far like the toughest, strongest person I know. Yes.
Yeah, I bet. Surviving breast cancer, that in itself.
Yeah, it's not
Make
an easy task.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister's a breast cancer survivor, and she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything that we should talk about that we didn't talk about?
Wow.
I mean, I see nothing but blue skies for Johnny.
Yeah, I see nothing but blue skies, and I'm really excited about what's to come. I think I have a lot of good things coming down the pipeline that I'm excited about. I don't like really talking about it. I like to speak it into existence first.
I respect that, yeah.
But yeah, I think I have a few good things that's coming down the pipeline. I think I've been getting out a little bit more and meeting more people outside of my sphere. I just been
important.
Yeah,
Okay.
just been going out, meeting people, making new connections. I think that's big for me, and I love doing that. I don't mind stepping into a room with a bunch of people I don't know and try to make a friend,
Right.
or make a new associate. So I'm excited about some of the connections I made recently, and I think it's going to pay off.
It'll pay off.
Yes.
Because you're who you are.
Yes.
And you've set up, you have a little bit more of a, your hands around the follow-up and kind of how to talk and
Exactly.
infuse in real estate. That's when it starts becoming fun.
Yes. I mean, now that you mentioned follow-up, that's another thing I think, like a new person getting started in real estate. I just think that's like, I never forget Don one time. You interviewed Don at one of our meetings one time.
Yep.
And you asked her, you said, what have you done? Because her business at that time started to take off. And she said, I gave love, I gave a little bit more love to my sphere.
Yeah.
And at the time, I kind of understood it, but I didn't understand it at the time. And then I asked her one day, and she told me what she did, so I started to do those things. I started reaching out to those people more, started sending them market updates,
Yeah.
things of that nature. I started doing a newsletter, started doing a monthly newsletter, sending that out to people. I got a lot of positive feedback from those newsletters. And I just been, one of the things she said, try to stay in front of them.
And it doesn't always have to be real estate related.
No.
And that's a mistake people often make.
Yeah.
We think people are going to be ready to do something with real estate when we speak with them.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. You can just
If
call
it was that easy, man, everybody,
you can
winning.
just call, say hello, say, hey, thinking about you today.
Yeah.
You know, and those are things I always did anyway. So it was like, just incorporated it a little more.
That's when it clicked for you, when you started wrapping your head around that.
Yes.
That's when they say the fortune is in the follow-up. You just got to love on people.
Exactly.
Get to know them, know the kids' names. There's one lady who even does a dog club, somebody in Atlanta, great lady Latrice. She knows the dog's name. She knows their breed, how old they are. She goes deep.
Right.
That's her thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, it's been good. It's been fun.
Awesome.
I have to enjoy something in order for me to continue to do it.
Well, that's a life worth,
Yes.
sounds like a life worth living,
Definitely.
right?
Yes. And it's been fun. It's been a good ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying it 3 years. And it's interesting because Dawn was about 3 years in when I interviewed her with that sales meeting.
Exactly.
And she was in, like so many of us, until we get in our own way.
Right.
And then I said, what did you do? She goes, I just got out of my way. I just started to do it.
Yeah.
We started talking, and I just did what you told me to do.
Right.
And it just started working, and good stuff.
Yes.
So let me ask you a final question.
Yes.
You have 10 extra hours in a week.
Wow.
What are you doing with it?
Playing golf.
All right. My man. Yes, you are. You like playing golf, right? You do that quite a bit.
I always tell people I own a set of golf clubs. I'm not that great yet. I'm not, not as good as some of the people like the Todds and the John Slacks.
So what?
I
You
play
still
with,
get to hang out.
I get to hang out. It's fun. Get me out of the house a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I know about you. You're a guy's guy. Like, you like to hang out with the guys, do golf, stuff like that.
Yes.
You don't have to be great to start. You have to start to be great.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and
right.
even if you're not, you're enjoying it, so who cares?
Yeah. I've always having a good time.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
So who's the best? Todd, Nick, John? I know John's a driver, I've heard.
John's probably the better golfer.
He's a professional.
Yeah, he's a professional.
He's so full of himself.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I tell it to his face.
Yeah, but it's fun. Those guys are fun to go play golf with.
Yeah, and they're a good group of guys
Yes.
who are really leaning into their sphere of influence. They're family guys, and I'm just so pleased that you're kind of part of that,
Yes.
and having that connection with people, the good people.
Right.
There are good people wherever we go. We just have to seek them out.
You have to surround yourself around good people.
Yeah.
You can't, good people attract to good people.
My mother told me once, I moved here in 91, and this is a very different place than New York where we lived. And I was having a hard time. I came out and I started playing softball. That's what I knew. And I met people, and people here were different. My mother said, people are good. Wherever you go, you have to find them. It's your job to find them.
That's right.
So it's nobody's fault. Nobody's coming to save you. It's you are going to attract and be around the people that you choose to be around.
That's true.
So
true.
Well, it's a pleasure to be in business with you. I couldn't be happier for you.
Thank you.
When you hit the cap, I was over the moon, and it was perfect timing because it was our recognition, and you got to be part of that, literally in it. And just keep doing great things.
I'm grateful to be here. I think I landed at the right place at the right time.
You were in the place because you sought it out.
Yes. You
found the people, and you're still connected with those people.
And the market wasn't good when I got in.
Sometimes it's the best place to start.
That was the best time to start. So I'm appreciative to be here and the people that I met, and everything I learned from everyone. I mean, it's a great place to be.
And you know what? I know not only is you're going to continue to rise, you're going to take people with you, and then you're also going to give back.
Yes.
I often say to people, when you are a new agent, right?
Yes.
You grow into a top agent, then you give back.
Yes.
That's the beauty in it.
Yeah.
And you have that servant leadership quality.
I have a mentor that who I'm still friends with to this day, and he told me a long time ago. I thanked him for he was my mentor. He guided me, and he taught me a lot of things in sports medicine. And he's probably one of the wisest men I know. And he said to me, the day I left to go take the job in the NBA, we're in his office and we're crying. Both of us are crying like babies.
Oh.
And he said to me,
Johnny.
he said to me, he said, don't ever forget where you came from and and bring people along the way with you.
Right.
He said, like, I brought you along with me. He said, never forget that. So that was like another lesson outside of the lessons I learned from my parents was, help people, bring them along the way. I just got a message this morning from someone who still works in the NBA that said, I'm grateful for you for what you did when I started.
That's the best.
That's the best thing ever. You can't, you don't do it on purpose, it's unintentional, but, those are the things that like drive me and make me feel good.
And when you don't realize you're doing it, and it comes in that way.
Had no clue.
Yeah, it pays to be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Let's take somebody along.
Yeah, and this one, I was like, I don't think this guy ever appreciated me, and then he sends me this message.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool. It's awesome.
Very cool. Thanks for your time and sharing
thank
your
you.
story. I learned some more about you every time.
Yes, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure.